One call, one laugh, one career destroyed in seconds. Huda Beauty just dropped one of their biggest collaborators, and the internet is still trying to process what happened. This wasn't a quiet exit or a mutual parting of ways. This was a full deletion, a complete erasure, like she never existed. Because when your image cracks on a live camera, there's no editing it out. And what started as a casual stream with fans turned into one of the messiest influencer scandals of 2025. If you're hooked already, smash that subscribe button because things are about to get wild. October 27th, 2025. Just another evening for Huda Mustafa. Fresh off Love Island USA fame, riding high on brand deals and internet love, she went live with her boyfriend, Louis Russell, a Netflix reality star from Too Hot to Handle. It was supposed to be fun, casual content for their followers. Then the phone rang. A viewer joined the call and within seconds dropped a slur aimed directly at Olandria Carin, Huda's Love Island castmate. The word hit like a bomb. Louis blurted out a shock reaction, Huda laughed, and just like that, the stream ended. But that few-second clip, it exploded everywhere. TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, even TMZ picked it up. The clip got replayed, slowed down, analyzed frame by frame. People weren't debating what was said. Everyone heard it clearly. The debate was about the reaction. When something that ugly gets thrown into a conversation, people expect shock, disgust, immediate rejection, not laughter. And that laugh became the symbol of something way bigger than a prank call.
Within hours, the backlash tsunami hit. Comment sections flooded with outrage. Influencer watchdog accounts lit up. The question echoed everywhere. Why did she laugh? Huda jumped on Instagram stories fast, trying to explain. She claimed she didn't hear it properly at first, that the laugh was pure nerves, an awkward freeze response to something so uncomfortable. Louis backed her up, saying it was a panic reaction, not approval or agreement. But here's the thing, explanations don't always land the way you hope. To viewers, it felt defensive, deflective, performative. Because instead of immediately addressing Olandria, the person actually targeted by the hate, she focused on defending herself. And that's where she lost even more people. The internet has a long memory for moments like this, and once that narrative sets in, there's almost no coming back from it.
The story spread like wildfire. Beauty influencers, commentary channels, pop culture blogs, everyone had something to say. Fans were dissecting every frame of that live stream. Some defended her, saying people make mistakes under pressure. Others called it inexcusable, arguing that certain moments require instant clarity, not nervous laughter. And while the debate raged online, brands started watching closely. Because in the influencer economy, controversy isn't just bad PR, it's financial risk. Sponsors don't want to be associated with chaos. They want brand-safe partners who align with their values. And Huda Mustafa's value was dropping by the hour. Then came the apologies. But timing is everything. And the internet judges sincerity by how fast and how genuine the response feels. Huda's initial explanation didn't cut it. It felt rushed, incomplete, like damage control instead of real accountability. So the pressure kept building. Hashtags trended, think pieces dropped, and everyone waited to see who would respond next. That's when Olandria Carin stepped into the spotlight, and she did it with the kind of grace that flipped the entire conversation. Olandria didn't respond with anger or bitterness. She responded with purpose. Her statement was clear, direct, and powerful. She said that kind of language is never acceptable. Not as a joke, not in any context, not ever. She called out surface-level apologies and explained how excuses just keep harmful cycles spinning. But instead of feeding the drama, she redirected attention to action. She asked her followers to support real organizations making a difference. The NAACP, the United Negro College Fund, the Thurgood Marshall College Fund. She wanted accountability, not just entertainment. And that shift hit differently. Where Huda's statement felt defensive and reactionary, Olandria's felt grounded and intentional. Suddenly, public sympathy started shifting hard. People respected how she handled it. She took a moment meant to hurt her and turned it into something meaningful. And that contrast made Huda's response look even weaker. Before we dive deeper into the brand fallout, hit that subscribe button if you're enjoying this breakdown, because the next part gets even messier. By October 30th, the pressure had reached a boiling point. Hashtags were trending worldwide. Brands were absolutely watching every move. Huda posted a longer, more serious apology, this time addressing Olandria directly. She admitted her first response had been inadequate, that her nervous laugh was inappropriate, and that she should have handled things differently from the start. She promised to donate to the NAACP, showing a concrete step toward accountability. It was cleaner, more thoughtful, and felt more genuine than the first attempt. But here's the harsh reality of the internet. Timing matters, and by then, the narrative was already locked. People started asking the uncomfortable question, if this hadn't gone viral, would this apology even exist? Would there have been any accountability at all, or just silence? That doubt lingered, and trust once broken is incredibly hard to rebuild.
Just as the comment wars hit their absolute peak, the brand that made her famous stepped in. And when they did, it wasn't subtle. October 31st, 2025, Huda Beauty posted a single statement on Instagram, and it said everything without saying too much. The message opened with their core values. Kindness and humanity are at the heart of everything we do. Then came the gut punch. Unfortunately, one of our recent collaborators has displayed behavior that does not align with our values. They called the live stream incident deeply upsetting. They acknowledged that their team and community felt hurt. Then, they made it official, clear, and final. We have decided to end our partnership and remove any related content from our social platforms and in-store displays. Accountability is incredibly important in moments like this, and we hope meaningful change can come from it.
Just like that, the partnership was over. Campaigns deleted, posts scrubbed, store displays updated. The comments section exploded again, but this time with overwhelming support for the brand. People praised Huda Beauty for moving fast, for standing firm on their values even when it meant losing a high-profile collaborator. And that's rare in an industry where image is everything and money talks loudest. But there was another layer to this decision that goes deeper than morals alone. Let's talk about the business side, because brands don't just operate on principles. They operate on math.
Consumer spending power in the beauty industry is absolutely massive. Entire product lines, campaigns, and influencer programs get built around representation and inclusivity. So when an influencer, especially one with a huge platform, laughs at a slur, even if it's nervously, it's not just offensive, it's financially dangerous. A single viral clip can cost millions in lost trust, especially when your brand's tagline literally says kindness and humanity. Huda Beauty couldn't afford to wait and see if the storm would pass. They acted immediately, making an example that sent a clear message across the entire influencer industry. Being brand safe isn't optional anymore. It's survival. And critics started connecting dots that went back further than just this one live stream. This wasn't Huda Mustafa's first brush with controversy. Long before that fateful call came through, cracks were already showing. At the Love Island USA reunion months earlier, tensions had surfaced in a big way. Olandria Carin and Chelley sat across from Huda under those hot studio lights, calm but visibly tired. They weren't angry.
They were exhausted. Exhausted from reading hateful comments, tired of being targeted, drained from being painted as villains in a narrative they never wrote. And they asked Huda one simple, direct thing. Can you please tell your fans to stop? It wasn't an ambush or a trap. It was a plea for basic decency, a request to use her influence for something positive. But instead of standing up for them, instead of using that moment to shut down the hate, Huda deflected. She said she'd faced negativity too, somehow making the conversation about her own struggles instead of addressing theirs. The two women sitting across from her had their pain minimized in real time, and millions watching at home noticed. That moment became a quiet red flag. Some forgot about it, but others didn't. They remembered how quickly sympathy can shift when the person holding the microphone refuses to listen.
So when the live stream happened months later and that laugh went viral, it didn't feel like a random accident to a lot of people. It felt like déjà vu, a repeat of the same instinct. Deflect, explain, protect yourself instead of protecting someone else. And this time, there was no villa, no host to redirect the conversation, no producers to edit the awkward silence away, just Huda, a phone, and a choice. And the internet decided it had seen this story before, and it was done watching the rerun. But here's what makes this collapse sting the hardest. She was at her absolute peak when it all fell apart.
Only a few weeks before everything imploded, Huda Mustafa was genuinely on top of the world. Her collaboration with Huda Beauty had just launched, a dream partnership between a brand built on empowerment and one of the year's biggest reality TV breakout stars. The campaign was bold, cinematic, and deeply symbolic. In the viral advertisement, Huda stood before a massive mirror, watching herself reflected on screen. Then, as dramatic music swelled, she reached forward and literally crawled through the mirror to meet founder Huda Carin herself. It was playful, creative, powerful, a metaphor for transformation, for stepping into success, for becoming the best version of yourself. The ad racked up over 10 million views across TikTok and Instagram. Beauty influencer pages called it the collab of the year. Fans flooded comments writing things like, "This girl is absolutely unstoppable." For a moment, it really seemed like nothing could touch her.
But just 30 days later, that same mirror became a symbol of collapse. After Huda Beauty's statement dropped on October 31st, every single image, every clip, every trace of that campaign vanished. No reposts, no reels, no mirror. One day, her face filled Sephora feeds and beauty brand Instagram pages. The next day, it was gone. Completely erased, as if it had never existed at all. And that's the brutal reality of the digital age. You can spend years building a brand, cultivating an image, growing a following. But the algorithm doesn't care about your timeline or your effort. It only cares about your last action. It's ruthless, unforgiving, and it doesn't rewind. One week, she was the face of a billion-dollar beauty empire. The next, she became a cautionary tale about what happens when a brand built on inclusivity has to protect its image from the very person meant to represent it. That's not just a fall from grace, that's a complete free fall. If you're still watching, go ahead and subscribe, because we're about to break down the aftermath.
When the announcement dropped, social media turned into an absolute battlefield. On one side were the defenders, people calling it cancel culture run wild, claiming everyone was overreacting to a nervous laugh. They reminded people she'd apologized, that she donated money, that she's human and humans make mistakes. But on the other side were those who had watched this pattern play out too many times before. They called it accountability, not cancellation. They asked pointed questions like, why do we only call it cancel culture when it's someone with power losing it? Creators and commentators led conversations about how often this cycle repeats. Someone does something harmful,
offers a half-hearted explanation, and the industry stays silent until public pressure forces action.
Beauty journalists pointed out how often brands delay these decisions, hiding behind vague internal investigations while hoping outrage fades. But this time, Huda Beauty moved immediately, setting what felt like a new precedent. It felt like a moment where a major company actually listened and acted instead of waiting to see if they could avoid consequences. Meanwhile, Louis Russell, Huda's boyfriend and live stream partner, tried to calm the storm. He posted his own statement, saying he understood how harmful the word was, that the situation had been deeply uncomfortable, and that they'd both learned from it. But the internet had already made up its mind. Because once the public labels you brand unsafe, there's rarely a path back. Sponsors don't negotiate with controversy. They just move on to the next person. And just like that, the story stopped being about one live stream. It became about what happens when influence stops being profitable and starts costing money.
Every viral downfall follows the same four-act structure: shock, defense, apology, consequence. But this one hit differently because it exposed the fragile ecosystem beneath modern fame. Huda Beauty built its entire empire on kindness, community, and inclusion. Huda Mustafa built hers on attention, relatability, and chaos-driven entertainment. Those two worlds can coexist perfectly fine until the values collide head-on. Maybe she truly did laugh out of nerves. Maybe she really didn't fully process what was said in that split second. Maybe she panicked and froze. But online, perception is reality. And once the narrative locks in, there's no PR team in the world powerful enough to rewrite it. One laugh, 1 second of poor judgment, and everything shifts. It's unfairly fast, brutally harsh, but it's the reality of modern influence.
And yet, the story's real hero isn't the brand or the outrage mob. It's Olandria Carin, the person who was targeted but never retaliated, the one who turned pain into purpose, who used her platform to advocate for donations, education, and empathy instead of revenge. Her grace reminded everyone watching that influence isn't measured in follower counts or engagement rates. It's measured in integrity and character. Because at the end of the day, followers can be bought, engagement can be gamed, but credibility? That's earned through consistent action. And once it's gone, you can't repost it back into existence. Weeks before everything imploded, that campaign ad showed Huda crawling through the mirror, stepping into success, experiencing transformation and rebirth. But mirrors don't just reflect beauty and glamour. They reflect truth. And this scandal became her mirror moment, the one that showed her what the world really saw when they looked at her. The glitz, the fame, the perfect edits, none of it mattered anymore. What mattered was the reflection staring back after the cameras turned off and the live stream ended. Because in the age of Instagram Lives and TikTok loops, accountability isn't just a buzzword or a PR strategy. It's survival.